Hello. So today we're watching the Oscar nominations being unveiled live. It's very exciting.
We are indeed. Very exciting. I can't wait for the Oscars to tell me what films I should watch after today. Unfortunately, with the world being on fire, I haven't had a chance to watch all of these. But as we were saying just before we went live, Callum, us over here in the UK, we can go back to cinemas in a couple of months. And I really want to watch some of these on the big screen. Nomadland, for example, I want to watch on the big screen. But for me, I don't know about yourself, for me, my favourite film of the last theatrical year has been Trial of the Chicago 7. So I really hope for writer, director, editing, and also Sasha. I hope he gets a nomination too. What about yourself? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of surprises, Borat 2 could pop up. Tenet, I would love to see them get an original score nomination for this. Sonic could pop up under visual effects, which would be a bit weird, but I'll take that. It'd be one of those weird Suicide Squad nominations. But yeah, I think ultimately this would be a watch list for me to try and watch legally, where possible in the UK, before the ceremony actually happens.
Well, that is quite a suit.
Nick Jonas has aged a bit, hasn't he? Oh, there's actual Nick Jonas, dressed as an Oscar.
Thank you so much, David, and good morning. Although we're in London, so it's afternoon here.
He's in London.
But regardless of the time of day,
go straight into it.
that each of these nominees will never forget.
Absolutely.
Okay.
First up,
So Borat.
the nominees chosen by members
Yes.
of the
Okay. That's the one that we were kind of.
branch.
I was kind of hoping. I was hoping we'd sneak in there. I think she did a great job.
Maria
Balls of
Bacala
Steel. This
in
woman.
Borat
I can't
Oh,
wait to see more of her.
Film.
I'm slightly behind you then.
Delivery of prodigious
Oh,
bribe to
sorry.
American regime for
Oh
main
wow,
benefit
so yeah,
on
she got a
glorious
nomination.
nation of
So
Kazakhstan.
Borat 2 is an Oscar nominated film.
Glenn Close.
No spoilers, I'm
Hillbilly
sorry.
Elegy.
Hillbilly, I feel like that was a film that came
Olivia
out and just got
Colman
absolutely
in
panned.
The
Hillbilly
Father.
Edgy. The Father I need to
Amanda
watch.
Seyfried in Mank.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the courage up to
and
watch
Ye
The Father. To be
Jong-un
honest,
in Minari.
Congratulations to all those nominees. Our next
I
category
think Borat
is
2 is
Best
the takeaway
Costume Design, with
from that
nominees
list.
voted by
The Oscar
Academy's
nominated
Costume Designers
Borat
Guild.
2. Could you imagine this time last year knowing that there's even going to be a
Emma.
Borat 2 and it'd be Oscar nominated?
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Mank. Mulan.
Okay.
Mulan got an Oscar
And
nomination.
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. I still need to see the Pinocchio.
And
That
now
was
here are the
the
nominees
Italian
for
version,
Best
right?
Original score,
I believe so.
voted by the Academy's Music.
Original score. Okay, we go see Tenet pop up here.
Defy Bloods.
Okay.
Mank.
Okay.
Mank got a nomination.
Wow. Wow.
Trent Razor.
News of the World.
Okay, if News of the World gets nominated and not
and
Tenet.
Soul.
Wow.
This-
So
Yeah.
News of the World got nominated but not Tenet.
The Writers Branch nominates
Wow. I mean, I'm glad to see
screenplays
Soul
in
there.
two
I kind
award
of forgot Soul
categories.
had a banging
Best
soundtrack.
Adapted Screenplay and
No,
Best
Tenet,
Original
wow.
Screenplay. First is Best
Really
Adapted
surprised me.
Screenplay.
We'll get through this in a
Borat
second.
Subsequent Moviefilm. Delivery of prodigious
There was a
bribe to American
screenplay
regime
to
for
Borat 2 and it was adapted.
That's what I was thinking. Was it
How is it
adapted
adapted?
from?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Adapted from real
Anthony
life? Like,
Hines, Dan Swimer. Peter Bain.
Surely it's
I can
original
already tell.
screenplay. I don't understand. Surely it's original.
I can already,
Dan Mazer,
I can
Jenna
already
Friedman,
tell that they're starting to get a
and
bit
Lee
frustrated with the long ass title of Borat
by
2.
Sacha Baron Cohen, Anthony Hines, Dan Swimer,
How's it
and Nina
adapted?
Pedrad. The Father, Christopher Hampton and Florian Zeller.
How's Borat 2
Nomadland,
adapted?
Chloe Zhao.
I absolutely have no idea.
One Night in Miami, Kemp Powers. And The White Tiger, Ramin Berani.
So
yes.
Nomadland is probably
Congrats,
the favourite for that one, surely. I mean, I haven't
And
seen
now
it,
the
but
nominees for
that
Best
seems to be what
Original
everyone's going for any of these categories.
I feel like it's going to
Judas
sweep
and the
up, but you
Black
never know with
Messiah.
this. But like front runners don't
Will
particularly
Burson
tend to do well in
and
the Oscar
Shaka
race.
King.
That people seem to get quite
Story
complacent and throw their
by
vote
Will
around
Burson,
elsewhere.
Shaka King,
Right.
So
Kenny Lucas, and Keith Lucas.
be interesting. I don't know
Minari,
who's going for
Lee
the lead for
Isaac
Judas and the
Chung.
Black Messiah because
Promising Young Woman,
See, Tenet might
Finale.
absolutely get shut out completely.
Sound of Metal.
Sound of
Darius
Metal's
Marder
popping up, which
and
is
Abraham
quite
Marder.
exciting. I'm yet to see that, but I've heard great
Story
things about Riz
by
Ahmed being in
Darius
it.
Marder and Derek Cian France. And
There you go.
The Trial of the Chicago 7,
Okay.
Aaron Sorkin.
Still no Tenet, so it's
Sorkin
maybe
is
Tenet
here.
will be snubbed
Yeah,
completely
because-
then, because I thought it would have popped up
Well, since
under
you did 2 in a row, I think I'm
original
going to-
score
Yes,
would have been the favourite.
Short film categories.
I'm very
Both
surprised that it
overseen
didn't
by
get a
Short
screenplay
Film
nomination, because I don't think
Animation
screenplay was particularly.
For best
I don't know. Actually, I know a few
animated
people
short
had an issue
film.
with the
Here are
actual
nominees.
storytelling. So what am I talking about?
Borat.
Well, if we go back to like June time, where Christopher Nolan was kind of being hailed as the savior of cinemas by releasing
If
his
anything
film,
happens, I love
it
it.
kind of at the time it would have gone into the narrative that he released this film, gave cinemas a helpline, and then it got nominated for Oscars,
For best
and that just hasn't panned
live-action
out for him, has
short
it? Not at all.
Nominees are
Not at all. So nothing for Tenet at the moment. Borat 2 getting adapted screenplay. That absolutely.
Borat's got 2 nominations.
Letter Room.
Yeah, I've no idea how it's adapted. I'd love to read up on that shortly. But Nomadland, again, we were talking just before we came on air that Nomadland seems to be the one that we need to watch in
Congratulations to
cinemas, and that's the way
Now,
to experience
the
that.
nominees for an actor in a supporting role. They are Sacha
Good.
Baron
There you
Cohen,
go.
Sacha
That's what I
Baron,
was hoping for.
3 nominations for
He's
Borat
absolutely
2.
smashing it.
Daniel
Oh, no, for
Kaluuya
Trial of Chicago
in
7.
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering. Daniel Kaluuya is
Leslie
going for
Odom
supporting
Jr.
for
in One Night
this,
in Miami.
which is totally deserved because it's I
Paul
just didn't know
Rassi
which way they were
in
gonna
Sound of Metal.
balance that.
And Lakeith Stanfield in Judas and the
See,
Black
that's
Messiah.
one that I want to watch in
Congratulations.
theaters.
Oh, so-
Judas and the Black
okay.
Messiah.
Still have more
So they've
nominee announcements.
put
We'll be
both of them
back
in a
at
supporting and none of them for
5:31
lead
Stay
for
tuned.
Judas and the Black Messiah. Daniel Kaluuya, yeah. So they're both in supporting. So there's no lead actor in that film.
A martini shaken not
This whole Oscar nomination malarkey.
This is so backwards.
How are they both supporting, but none of them? You know what they need to do, and I've been saying this for years. They need to have an ensemble, like basically a casting
Yeah.
Oscar, where like One Night in Miami is definitely an ensemble piece. So many of these films are ensembles.
Yeah. But that's the kind of thing they have to warn about strive loading effects and stuff like that.
Okay. Oh,
How did you watch Judas and the Black Messiah? Because that's one that I kind of want to save it for the big screen, but I don't know if it's going to get a release over here.
I flew to America because of work, and I watched HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so that was the thing happened. Yeah, HBO Max is great though. I absolutely love it. Yeah, we shall see. So I still can't believe Borat 2. It's just absolutely mad that Borat 2 is getting so many nominations. It was a great film. I just didn't expect it to. I think it was one of the defining experiences of this whole pandemic for me seeing Borat 2 because I was lucky enough to go and see it at the Curzon, which obviously show a lot of streaming films because they're moving with the times rather than going against them. And it was such a great experience seeing it in a room full of people, in a socially distanced room full of people, all laughing. I completely missed that last year completely. Obviously in 2019, everyone had their Avengers Endgame midnight screenings, where that atmosphere, and just like having that kind of like energy in a room again was really special when I saw it in October.
So what you're saying is Borat 2 did what Chris Nolan couldn't. Is that what you're
Basically,
suggesting?
I mean, I went to the one of the first screenings in an IMAX for Tenet, and there just wasn't that palpable energy. But yet for Borat 2, the room was electric, and everyone was like collectively laughing and having a good time in the midst of what was quite a bad year.
Well, the problem with Tenet, like you say, is that post movie finishing, when everyone had finished and stopped to go, there's nobody talking about it. There's no energy. It wasn't like one of those dramas where the room is quiet because everyone's just taking in what they've just seen. It was just, you could just tell everyone was like, I don't understand half of what was happening. One, because of the dialogue was being overpowered, and two,
Yeah, I mean,
the storytelling.
I mean, this whole war season's a bit weird because it's not getting the unified big push as they normally do. Normally, there'll be a big release, a wide release in America, and everyone will be talking about that. But because cinemas aren't open up everywhere, it's just not happening, which is why it's a really kind of weird award season to kind of judge. And because of that, it's probably the most even award season we've probably seen in the past decade. Because there isn't much that the studios can do to push their things. Like, there's no in-person events, they're all streaming. There's no like big billboards because everyone's at home. So it's just kind of fascinating that it's probably the most
Yep.
level-headed award season race that we've seen.
Well, yeah. The thing is, though, it's also hard for us to have the response to these nominations that we normally would do, because like I've said already, this feels more like a list of films that I need to see, and I'm not outraged by things getting nominated. If anything, I'm just a bit perplexed as to a few of the nominations or how it falls into said category. But I don't know. I can't wait for the cinemas to open, man. I just can't wait to see
May
a lot of
17th,
these.
I'm hoping it actually happens over in the UK, but we shall see. It's just not the same watching these films at home. It's just not the same. I mean, one of the weirdest things about last year before the pandemic hit, which was very weird, was seeing Parasite get a very wide release over here after its Oscar win. I remember it was showing at my local 6-screen Cineworld, and I never thought I'd see the day when Parasite. I think I saw it in November time, maybe at the BFI, and I never thought that film would end up at my local tiny multiplex. And seeing that was such a special moment. I mean, we've got the clip of us reacting to it winning last year's Best Picture, and we both lost our absolute shit. It was so exciting to see.
First time in a long time that a film that we wanted to win, which we didn't think necessarily would, it just the best film won. You know, it's just quite simply the best film won. I'm not saying obviously the films that won beforehand weren't deserving. One thing I will say is that since we've last done a video, Callum, Avatar has become the #1 film of all time in the box office once again. Are you expecting re-releases when the cinemas are opening again, or are you expecting films like this to open alongside the scheduled big budget movies like Black Widow and things like that?
I honestly don't think there's time for them to be in the cinemas at this point. Like, Black Widow is sticking with an early May release, and then from then you've got like Kong to stick in, whether Justice League gets a release now. I mean, it's just full on throughout the summer, so I don't think there's room for re-releases at the moment like there was for like last year.
Or if you just got up and are joining us now, welcome.
I'm so glad we're not
Let's
at 5
continue
a.m.
with the nominations. Members of the Academy's documentary branch have chosen these nominees for Best Documentary Feature.
Okay.
And they are Collective, Crip Camp, The Mole Agent,
I've only heard of Crip Camp. I think
My
that was on
Octopus
Netflix.
Teacher, and Time.
The issue is some of these become quite difficult to watch because they don't necessarily have they don't have a release over here.
Colette. A concerto is a conversation. Do not split. Hunger Ward. And A Love Song for Latasha.
I don't really know where documentary shorts get released, to be totally honest, whether they end up on free platforms or on streaming services.
The winner of the Best Live Action Short. Oh, we'll go back to that in a second.
The nominees are Another Round, Denver.
Another round. Same to see this. There was lots of buzz around that at London Film Festival.
Hong Kong. Collective, Romania. The Man Who Sold His Skin, Tunisia. Quo Vadis Aida, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Oh, very nice.
I think
Oh my God, that's a bit patronising.
I think Another Round's gonna absolutely smash that.
Branch of the Academy
Judging from the
chooses
buzz.
The nominees for Best Achievement in Sound.
Okay, will Tenet get a nomination in sound?
Greyhound.
It can't, surely.
Greyhound getting a nomination. That's for Tom Hanks' war film, right?
News of the World. Soul.
So good.
Soul is incredible.
And
In
Sound
terms
of
of
Wow, there you go. Tenet's getting absolutely nothing
Snubs.
whatsoever.
Not even one.
Nominates these films for Best
Which is a shame because I think it's a fantastically made film. It's just not particularly the most concise story.
The Father.
Weird film to have production
Rain's
design on.
Black Bottom. Mank.
Yeah, Mank was always going to be a shoe-in for production design.
News of the World.
I don't hear anyone raving about Mank though. It's just
No. Oh, there you go.
hey,
Production
one
design.
nomination, production.
Here
Okay,
are the
I see that.
nominees for Best Film Editing, chosen by
Film
members
editing,
of the
here we go,
Academy's
boys.
Film Editors Branch. The Father,
For me, Trial of the Seven has to
Nomadland.
be in there, surely.
Promising Young Woman.
Be interested to see how many Best Picture noms we get this
Sound
year.
of Metal. And
There you go.
Trial of the Chicago 7.
The Academy's cinematographers branch nominate the following for
Come on,
best
Jonas.
cinematography:
No, surely Tenet for this.
Judas and the Black Messiah,
Really? I did not think that film was like stood out in the way it was shot.
News of the World,
Mank, obviously, black and white film. I love a black and white film.
Nomadland, and the Trial
Wow.
of the Chicago.
Okay, again, Trial of Chicago 7 it's a great film.
The
Do not think
drama,
do not
though,
think it
isn't
was
it?
shot particularly well though.
nominees for best visual effects. Love and Monsters. The Midnight Sky.
The Midnight Sky. Wow.
Mulan. The
we,
one and only
we're getting
Ivan.
6 here. The one and only Ivan got done with vision,
There you go.
but no Sonic.
When you think of me,
After what they did to everyone, and they redeemed themselves.
however, they didn't let me vote.
Chris Nolan's going to be raging at getting a best special effects nomination simply because he does most of his stuff practical, doesn't he?
I can't believe he didn't get a screenplay nod. Okay, that's
Hillbilly
fine, though.
Elegy.
I'm not particularly passionate about that film. I just think it's quite well made.
Mank.
I feel like Mank may just get loads of noms just because of who's behind it.
This
Yeah.
next category is voted on by short films and feature animation branch, as well as members of the animation community across all branches. Here are the nominees. for
Soul's
Best
got to win this
Animated
category, right?
Onward.
I loved
Oh,
Onward. I thought Onward was
I think
great.
Onward's better than Soul, actually. I forgot that came out within that year. It came out like March time, didn't it?
A Shaun the Sheep movie.
Wait, that came out this year? That came out
surely
last
that
year
was
for
like
UK,
3 years
right?
ago, wasn't it?
And Wolfwalkers.
For me, Onward is probably the best animated film I've seen in a couple of years, actually. I really liked Onward.
It made me tear up more than Soul Onward. I really connected with that
Best
film.
Original song.
Soul was a good movie, though.
Fight for You, Judas and the Black Messiah. Hear My Voice from the Trial of the Chicago 7.
Don't know these songs. Seen both those films.
From Eurovision Song.
The Oscar-nominated Euro Song Contest.
Eurovision got a nomination. Oh, if that wins.
Scene from The Life Ahead.
The Oscar-nominated Eurovision Song Contest movie from Netflix.
And Speak Now from One Night in Miami.
Oh, dear
That
me.
is amazing that that's a
For
thing.
actor in
Here
a
we go.
leading role, the actors branch members nominate Riz Ahmed in Sound of Metal,
Gary Oldman.
He's absolutely smashing this award season.
Chadwick Boseman in
Oh,
Ma Rainey's
that makes me
Black
sad
Bottom,
still.
Anthony Hopkins in The Father,
I don't know. I feel like Chadwick may get that legacy kind of award from this over Anthony Hopkins.
and Stephen Yeun in Minari.
Nice, see Stephen Yeun in there.
Congratulations to all those incredible nominees. For actress in a leading role, the nominees are
Promising Young Woman, surely.
Viola Davis in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day in The United States vs. Billie Holiday,
Okay, I think that's a Sky original
Vanessa
over here.
Kirby in Pieces of a Woman,
Pieces
Oh,
of the Woman
she
not
was
getting many
great in that.
nominations overall though.
No,
in
but
this.
she was great in that. Not a great movie, but she's great.
and Carey Mulligan in Promising Young Woman.
All amazing performances. For directing,
God, he looks so intense, doesn't he? With eye contact. Here we go.
Thomas Vinterberg, Another Round. David Fincher,
Yeah, that
Mank.
was a
They,
shame.
they love for David Fincher, don't they?
Yeah.
Lee Isaac Chung, Minari. Chloe Zhao, Nomadland.
I think Nomadland's gonna get this.
And Emerald Fennell,
Oh, wow.
Promising Young Woman.
Okay.
And finally, the nominees for
The big
Best
one.
Picture voted by all members of the Academy are
I really hope they put a lot of films into this year.
Ready?
Just give you 3.
The Father.
Oh, I just don't know if I'm emotionally ready to watch The Father.
And Philippe Carcassonne, producers.
Judas and the Black Messiah, Shaka King, Charles D. King, and Ryan.
These are all pretty standard so far.
Mank. Cian Chafin.
Just don't know anyone that's excited about Mank.
Douglas Urbanski,
No.
producers.
Minari, Christina O, producer.
Nomadland. Francis McDormand.
Oh, we're going to see any
Peter Spears,
surprises.
Molly Asher, Dan Janvi, and Chloe Zhao, producers.
Promising Young Woman.
The only reason I'm surprised about Promising Young Woman is that seems to be so mixed with the reviews. It's a film I've wanted to see for a very long time.
Will Shaun the Sheep pop up?
Sound of Metal. Bert Hemling.
Sound of Metal's doing really well for such a small
It's
film.
smashing it out of the park.
It's so nice to see like quite a small budget film.
The Trial of the Chicago
There you go.
Seven.
Trial of Chicago 7.
I didn't think that was going to make it through.
So no big surprises in Best Picture this year. I feel like that's kind of what everyone was expecting.
Congratulations to all of these incredible nominees.
I think it's such a diverse and a mixed bag of films as well, but that's nice to see. I like that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the most even race we're gonna have this year, and that makes it really exciting for us to go away and try and watch these movies where we can, and kind of like just see social distancing, guys.
Whoa, you're a married man.
Sunday, April the 25th, so we're like 5 weeks out from the actual ceremony happening. So we've got
5 weeks to fly to America and watch some of these films.
Yeah, I feel like Borat 2 is the biggest surprise. They're getting 3 nominations, I believe. That's really exciting. I really enjoyed that film. I think it's one of my favourite films from last year. We still need to do a best movies list, which will be coming up at some point, maybe now. Award season's kind of over. Tenet kind of got snubbed. I
think Tenet did get snubbed. I think for a lot of categories you'd expect Tenet to be nominated for. Also, apologies for the whatever's happened with the lighting in my room. It's both really dark and really bright at the same time. What's the biggest surprise for you out of all of those? What's the biggest surprise? The biggest takeaway?
Probably Borat 2, to be fair. It's just like seeing that get nominated, especially for Best Supporting Actress. I feel like it's such a left field thing. I feel like 10 years ago it wouldn't even be in the conversation, but kind of how the academies had to kind of like progress and include a lot more genres and a lot more films. It's really great to see that like that kind of film now being in the running. It's just absolutely mad that that's possible. I feel like Mank has been shoehorned into all these categories. I don't feel like anyone's excited about Mank as a film. It came out last November. People spoke about it for a day and then just stopped talking about it. I'm really excited to see Nomadland. I hear so many good things about that. Trial of the Chicago 7 I thought was a good film, but not a great film. So
Callum.
So seeing that kind of do quite well. I thought the cinematography category was quite weak, to be fair. Let me see if I can go back and get it up. But it was just like I didn't particularly feel like there was much in there that I thought was. I'm not gonna be able to find that, am I? But like Judas and the Black Messiah, I watched literally 2 nights ago. And I didn't think that was particularly shot well, but that got nominated for that. And even the Trial of the Chicago 7, I know you really enjoyed that film, but do you think it was spectacularly shot? Because I thought it was just shot quite A to B.
I think it was shot well. I mean, none of these films were shot poorly at all. But I do wonder if it was just a case of all of these. I mean, some of the people that vote on these films don't watch the screeners. They go off this, the cinema experience. And the issue is, none of these films really have had a big screen experience, except for things like Trial of the Chicago 7, for example.
Well, weirdly, all of these 5 films have had cinema releases in the US, I believe, and not in the UK. So it's kind of weird how we're kind of like debating it, but they have had cinema releases. So stuff like stuff like News of the World, that was straight to Netflix over in the UK. So that's probably why we don't think it was particularly well shot.
Yeah.
And even Judas and the Black Messiah, I saw that at home because that's the only place you can see it in the UK at the moment. So it's really weird how that's going to kind of play into it and how people are going to view these. Because I feel like if you do get the chance to see one of these films in the cinema, like I did with Borat 2, you kind of give it a bit more props because you had an experience to see it on a big screen. So that'd be quite fascinating to see how that kind of plays out in terms of ones that had cinema releases versus ones that didn't.
Sound of Metal was a film that I hadn't really heard much about until today. So that's one that, according to the Academy, is one of the best films of the year. So I need to go ahead and try and find a way to watch that. Maybe join you on your next trip to America or something.
I think that's coming out on Amazon Prime pretty soon over here. It's an Amazon Studios release. The Father, I'm not sure what's happening with that in the UK at the moment. That was holding out for a cinema release. Don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm quite excited to see that 2-piece. I think they're going to both act the hell out of each other. Did Olivia Colman get a nod for actress? And
Yes,
she did.
She did, yeah.
So that would be quite good to see those two just playing
In
off each other.
supporting, I think.
Again,
but a film like that, it's just after the last 12 months we've had, I'm not too sure if I'm emotionally ready for a film like that. Overall, though, I think the biggest surprise for us was the amount of love that Borat 2 received, and just how there was no love for Chris Nolan. I wonder who he's pissed off.
It's just mad how that whole narrative last summer was Christopher Nolan's going to save cinema, and it didn't really work out for him. It's kind of mad how that narrative has kind of been driven off.
So films like Malcolm and Marie, for example, I thought were almost a shoo-in for some acting nods. I know a lot of people didn't like the film. I thought it was really, I just loved it. The performances were great. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but the performances were.
I've still yet to see it, but honestly, like there was so much hype around that film about it being in production, about it being sold, and everyone was convinced it was going to be like the front runner. Everyone was. And the other film as well, which kind of going up against that, was kind of Cherry. I know people weren't fans of Cherry, but I think everyone had praise to say about Tom Holland. And I think people, if we look back to like November, December time, people were expecting like Zendaya and Tom Holland to both be in these categories, which they both weren't. So that is quite. I've completely forgot those two films were even in the running at one point.
I thought Cherry was so much better than anyone else gave it credit for. Maybe it's just an example of when your expectations are so low based on other people's opinions, you end up really enjoying something just because everyone said you wouldn't. Sierra Bravo, I think that's her name, who is the supporting actress in that. I think she's even better than Tom Holland. I thought she was honestly phenomenal in that film. I'm really surprised she didn't get any love for supporting. But again, half of these films we haven't seen yet because they're not released over here. So.
I mean, also I saw Palmer, which was an Apple original, which came out and was kind of batting for awards season. That completely missed, but I thought Timberlake was absolutely great in that. He's such a great actor as well as musician. So I'm kind of surprised we didn't see anywhere, or even that film anywhere. To be fair, there was a lot of great performances in that. So yeah, it's just I do think it's going to be the closest race that we've seen and the most even race that we've seen in probably decades. So I am excited to go away and then obviously see what happens on the night when we watch it live.
And just I guess just to repeat what I said earlier on, there is such a mixed bag in these films. Just looking at all these films that we're looking at now are films that we perhaps wouldn't have had access to otherwise. And maybe the pandemic's been good for smaller films like these that they maybe wouldn't get a look in before because the market was so saturated, which it hasn't been in the last 12 months.
Yeah, like if we look at what wouldn't come out originally, if the pandemic hadn't happened, West Side Story definitely would have been in here. Spielberg directed a musical. What else would there have been? Bond,
mixed up in the sound categories for sure.
Bond definitely would have been there for like visual effects. Dune, I'm sure Dune would have been 100% a cinematography nomination. And I feel like if it had been all those other cinematographies versus Dune, like it would definitely be Dune. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like cinematography has definitely got to that level now where the bigger and more spectacular it kind of is, the more props you kind of get in the Academy. If we look back at what's won previously, like 1917 won last year, I believe, and that is a spectacle in itself. So
for sure, but I think it's got me excited for the films that are hopefully coming out on the big screen a little bit later than planned, or maybe weren't going to originally anyway. In the months ahead. I, for one, don't want to go back to the cinema and I only get to see the films that are big and loud because companies want to make their money back. They want to keep pumping through all these big blockbuster movies. I hope I get to see Nomadland and Promising Young Woman. And, just all these just variety of films that, is why I love cinema. And that's why I love the Oscars so much, because it really introduced me to films that kind of went under my radar otherwise.
So we will see everyone on Sunday, April the 25th for a live stream of us watching the Oscars as we did last year. We had lots of Oscar coverage last year, and maybe we'll do another predictions video once we've seen the majority of these films, and we can kind of see who gets the most right. I think that'd be quite a fun idea for us to do. But yeah.
Borat 2 for everything.
But yeah, thanks for joining us. And
until next time,
soon.
That's
Bye.
been Callum. I've been Brad. We've been the Angry Microwave.
Be sure to
Ta-ta.
subscribe. Bye.